There are tons of weapons in Rivals, but which ones are the best? In today's video, we are going to be ranking every single weapon in Rivals, ranging from S tier to F tier. We're going to start off with the simple assault rifle. This assault rifle is the one that you get at the start of the game, and to be honest, it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a solid B tier. Now we've got the fists, an insane mobility item, as you can do a double jump with them. So that's definitely going to land them in the B tier. Next, we've got another starter weapon, the handgun, which is also decent, but definitely not as good as the assault rifle, so it's going to be a C tier. The grenade is an insane mobility item that you can use for jumping around the place, but since the new ice gun is added, it's not as good as the other utility items, so I'm going to put it in the C tier. Next, we have the shotgun, which does a ton of damage up close, and it's really good for close maps, so I'll have to give it a C tier. Next, we've got the shorty, which is pretty good up close, but not very good in most situations, so it has to go in the D tier. So now we've got the flamethrower, and this is a pretty good weapon in some very specific maps, like the black rooms, but in most maps, it's pretty bad. So I'm going to put this in the D tier. Next, we've got the exo gun, which isn't anything really that special. So I'm going to have to put it in the C tier. Got the trowel that can build up walls just like this. And then you can attack them to make like a path or anything. And this is pretty good and basically super overpowered. So I'm going to have to put this in the A tier. Finally, we've got the med kit here that can heal you for a ton, almost the full health. The hard thing is it takes a while to take off, so you have to have someone covering you while you do it. This can be really good with the smoke grenade, which we'll show in a second. Okay, so now we have the Molotov. That is really good for blocking off areas because it does fire damage and it stays for a while on the ground. So this is definitely a B tier in some maps. But just to be safe, I'll put it in the C tier. Next, we've got the katana that definitely has the most broken ability. And it's basically can block any shots and deflect them for a few seconds, which is absolutely insane. That definitely has to put it in the A tier. The revolver is very good compared with a assault rifle because it is a one-shot type thing. It does 52 damage to the head, which is a lot. So yeah, it's pretty good. I would have to put it in the C tier. Next, we've got my favorite weapon, the bow, which you can charge up and does a ton of damage. And it's also really good because you can do double jumps like you can see here. So I will definitely put it in the A, maybe even S tier. Next, we've got the flashbang. The flashbang is pretty decent, but I don't think it's the most useful utility item. As you can see, it makes your screen go white. So I would give it maybe a C tier. Next, we got the burst rifle, and for me, I don't really love burst weapons, but I've seen it kill me so many times. So I'm going to put it in the B tier. It's pretty good. Next up, we have the Uzi, which is so fast, and it's really good with like a shotgun or something that shoots slow like a sniper. I think the chainsaw is extremely overrated, but it's still a decent weapon, so I'm going to put it in the B tier. And finally, we have the smoke grenade. The smoke grenade is pretty good. As you can see, you can barely see anything, and it's really good with some certain weapons, like the med kit, so you can pop it off quicker, or anything like that. So it is a pretty good weapon to have in your arsenal. Although the sniper got nerfed because now you can't go into third person, it is still an amazing weapon that does a one-shot to the head. So I'll have to put it in the B tier just because of that. The slingshot is unique in the fact that you can bounce the shots, so let's see. As you can see, I'm doing damage from a bounce. So this is good in really close maps, and I'd have to put it in the A tier just because of this. The sai is very similar to the fist, as you can dash with it, and it's a mobility item, so it's pretty good. Just, it's not as good as the fist in my opinion, because the fist you can use to do some combos with the bow and arrow, so I would assume that this could be in the B tier. Next, we've got the freeze ray. That has only been out for a few days now, and so it freezes the player in place for 2 seconds, and that is extremely overpowered, especially if you have something like a sniper. They can just freeze them and then hit the headshot pretty quickly. That would be insane, let's be honest. So this has to be in the A tier. They might nerf this, they might buff it, I have no idea. I have not used it in a game yet, so yeah. Next, we got the RPG that does a pretty decent amount of damage, and it can also knock you back. But it's not really good in any open maps because it takes a long time to reload and doesn't have much ammo, so you can only really use it in the back rooms and places like that. So I'd have to put it in the D tier just because of that. The flare gun is actually OP. It's caught me off guard so many times. It does a ton of damage and is just insane. The only problem is it only has 1 ammo. But as you can see, the amount of damage it does is just crazy. So I would have to put it in the B tier just because it only has 1 ammo. But if it did have more, I'd have to put it in the S tier for sure. Next we got the subspace chip mine, which is insane because you can place it down, and if someone steps on it, they die. And you can also use it for mobility, as you can see here, where you can just jump up like that. Now, the only problem is, as you can see, it's hard to fall on some bigger maps, so definitely only works on small maps, and I'd have to give it the C tier just because it's hard to step on. Next, we've got the paintball, which is definitely the best gun in the game right now. It basically makes their screen completely filled with paintballs, which is basically like a flashbang, and it's also pretty fast and does a ton of damage, so it's definitely in the S tier. The minigun shoots insanely fast. The only problem is that it takes a while to charge up, as you can see, and this is basically its downfall, and so for that I'll have to put it in the B tier, but if it didn't have this charge up, it would definitely be in the S tier. Next, we've got the grenade launcher, which can be used for mobility, and it also does a pretty good amount of damage, and you can basically spam it around because it has more than 1 ammo, as you can see. So this is pretty good in like the back rooms, but in open maps it's not the best. Definitely better than the rocket launcher, so I'll have to put it in the B tier.